Hey, so everyone, this is my undefeated Super Quantum deck that I entered a tournament with just the other night. It was pretty fun. I got a Great Magnus really quickly in every game. And I also got a great deal hookup from this, but yeah, we'll get into that another time. So I'm just going to go straight into it. You have a question, Alex?
Hey, what's up? Boy Henry the Man.
Yeah, he just competed in the ARG event this weekend. Unfortunately, I wasn't going there.
12th place. Not good. Tiebreakers suck.
Yeah, that's why you should never end up in those situations. You gotta kill them faster, man.
We got the Super Quantums. We got the Super Quantums Power Ranger X Megazords, however you want to call them.
And they're not Voltron, whoever's calling them the Voltron deck. Alright, so I'm gonna run, my monster lineup is the following. I run 3 red layers, 3 green layers, 3 blue layers. Now I'm going to go explain the red layer, blue layer, and green layer. All the layer monsters, they have when on summon effects, which are special summon and normal summon. They all have a when effect when summoned. So that's a lot of mistake a lot of Super Quantum players make. They don't really realize how to use the effect that'll cause them to miss timing, as you're aware of that. Now blue, whenever she's normal summon or special summon, you get to search any Super Quant card other than herself. She's a level 3 psychic monster. She's an emergency teleport target, which I think everyone by now would probably know that about her.
Yeah, damn right.
Red layer, he has a Photon Thrasher-like effect. If I don't control any monster at all, I can just special summon him to the field. And when he is special summoned or normal summon, I get to add any quant card, super quant card, from my graveyard to my hand. And my favorite, and the point my deck is centered around, is the green layer. A lot of people say he's the worst of the super quantums. I think he's actually the best. He searches, he searches, he discards, he speeds up, he summons, he spams. He does a lot. When he is normal summon or special summon, he gets to special summon any super quant monster I have in my hand. So that really helped. Now I'm
So you chain it. So you Cyber Dragon this. Try to get this if you have another one special.
More get that. Something like that. Yes, that's a common thing I've done. They all have engrave effects. Blue's engrave effect is when she's sent to a graveyard, if she's sent to a graveyard, I get to target up to 3 super quant cards. Any super quant card, whether it's a spell or a trap, and I shuffle it back into my deck. It would be nice if I could draw a card from that, but who knows. Green's effect, if he's sent to a graveyard, I get to discard any super quant card and draw a card, which triggers effects like his or hers. His, if he's sent to a graveyard, I get to target any super quant monster other than himself and special summon. The effect cannot be activated. It is different than the effect is negated. So based on that explanation, I use both of Green's effects a lot, and I discard, I'll special summon. I'll do all that with Green, and it really helps the deck really speed up, and that's why I like Green in my build. So I run 3. Additional monsters are 3 Alphons. Alphon, he's a level 1 fairy. His first effect, not a lot of people like. I love his first effect. His first effect is I get to copy a super quant card on the field other than him, well, even himself, a super quant monster. Every monster on the field that has a level will become that monster's level. If I target green, every monster I have on the field is going to be level 5. If I target blue, everyone will be 3. You can even target himself and make everyone level 1, but I don't see a point of doing that right now. His second effect is used a lot, where I get to tribute him, I get to reveal 3 super quant monsters in the main deck. My opponent picks one at random, and the one he picks gets special summon, the rest goes to a graveyard.
Question, you can pick 3 of the same Super Quantum?
No, they have to be different names.
They have to be different names?
Yes. I've even picked him in that bunch of monsters in the way my deck goes, but I always make sure I at least have green in that. And if green is picked, it really helps. I could make sure, but you ever pick green and you haven't used any of the super quantum effects yet that turn, you have to make sure green has to be chain link 1. So when these other super quantums are special summoned, at the end of the resolution, none of them miss timing. That's why it's very vital to know that these are when on summon effects, and that's how I like to play around with green. People will make the mistake and not use green's effect that way, but if you make green chain link 1 and all that, you will get your effects off. And it's great to get the add effect or the search effect from blue. That's why I really like it. And my last 2 monsters in the deck, 2 Maxx C. There's 2 reasons why I put Maxx C in here. One, it's added pressure for my opponent. When you drop a Maxx C, they either stop what they're doing or try and go all in, which is perfectly fine. I'll draw cards if they can't kill me that turn. More than likely, since every card is almost is a floater, I'm probably not going to be dead that turn. And also, sometimes they'll just stop and stall me a board, which happened twice to me last night against the Cosmo player. When I dropped the Maxx C, he didn't want to spam anymore. Mainly because he did spam on me game 1, and it got him nowhere because my life points were still high enough where I was able to maximize from Maxx C after that. So that's what I mean. And the second reason why I have Maxx C is I have the strangest feeling where I believe the next Super Quantum monster, if they do release one, will be a level 2 Earth monster. It's just a theory. I'm pretty sure it might not be an insect. If it's an insect like Insectors, I'll believe it. I just have a feeling it might be a Beast Warrior.
Sure.
So yeah. And Konami, since you listened to me the first time, make it yellow, make it level 2, and make it Earth. Please listen to that.
Pretty please.
Michael. Now I'm going to move on to the spells. I broke it up into what I like to call special summon spells, recruiter spells, and consistency spells, and drawer spells. Super Quantum Mech Ship Magna Carrier. Magna Carrier is very interesting. His first effect is I get to discard any card in my hand. Target a Super Quantum monster, not Quanto. Super Quantum monster. Special summon a monster with the same attribute from the extra deck. Another Super Quantum monster. A lot of people think that's great, and that is a great effect, Alex. To just exceed summon with one monster. Technically 2 cards you're using for an exceed summon because the card's being dished out of your hand. But a lot of people think that's the best way to get out Magnus, which is probably the easiest way to get out Magnus. But there's been so many plays I've noticed on YouTube or people that also play Super Quantums that there are times you shouldn't be abusing this effect. And my deck doesn't really abuse it that much, only when I necessarily need it. And this is the only way you could get out Magnus is by tributing the field spell by targeting 3 Super Quantum Mech Beasts of different names from either your field or your graveyard. You overlay them into Great Magnus. And the ones on the field, it's best to use the ones on the field because you get to keep the exceed materials on them. I really like it. I like to keep 3 of them. I think everyone should be running 3. And if Magnus is somehow ever destroyed, you can always make another one because, like I said, you can even use the targets from the graveyard. But anyone that plays Super Quantums in the future, try not to abuse this first effect because you're going to run out of cards in your hand and you might not... And it's great to get a 6 material Magnus, but it does not begin a 9 material Magnus, or even 12, which I've actually gotten to it yesterday. I'll explain how I did that later.
Savage. 12 material.
Yeah, it was pretty silly. Emergency teleport, it will only summon blue layer, which is fine.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, I summon blue layer, get a search. If I have 2 emergency teleports, I'll use them both just to make a quick exceed summon, or at least save me on discard file later. Next, emergency teleport. Instant fusion. This is for Norden. More than likely, I'm going to go into summon green layer from the graveyard with Norden, and then go into Ouroboros or any other rank 4 I have. And also, Norden himself gives a different name to Magnus, which makes it great that to have another different name attached to Magnus as an exceed material. There's times I'll even summon blue if I already have a green on the field. I'll overlay the blue, I'll overlay the green and Norden together, make an Ouroboros, and probably either use their individual effects to attach blue, or I could probably exceed into blue in this. So this makes plays with the deck really consistent. Preferably, I always choose green, but there are times where blue comes in handy as well. I run 2 Feast of the Wild level 5. The red I go through a lot in the deck, so they're in the grave or in hand. That's the beautiful part about Feast of the Wild level 5. It summons it from the hand or grave. So if I have 2 of my red layers in the grave, I'll special summon them right back and then go into a quick rank 5. But the effect is negated, but I'm not going to activate the effect anyway. Remember, it has to be level 5 warriors, and which is red. So you
prepare to see that go up on eBay.
Yeah, we got a lot of these, so
Prepare to see that card go up on eBay.
People say it's not a staple. I don't think it's a staple. It depends on your build, but I like at least 1 in everybody's build. My version, I run 2. Next, another one is Soul Charge.
The Monarchate.
It's kind of self-explanatory.
Best card to go around that Monarch field spell.
Yes, you'll get around it. Also, what I love best about Soul Charge, to fix everybody's problem, it will not cause the when summon effects to mistime it, because the life point pain is on the same effect of them summoning. So all your when on summon effects will not mistime it from this. So you could trigger green, red, and blue. You'll have to chain around them, like which chain link is chain link 1 to 2 to 3. But yeah, Soul Charge really helps out the field. And I could make an Instant Magnus or more rank 4s, because yeah, the Exceeds in this deck are for field control. I like all the effects from the Exceed monster. That's why you don't have to depend on Magnus in this deck. I could field control or I can make a Magnus first turn. And this kind of helps with either making Magnus or just getting field control with the Exceed monsters. 1 for 1. I like 1 for 1 because I get to discard probably red to probably trigger its effect. But this is the only way to summon Alphon, and it's best not to waste your normal summon on Alphon, but if you have to, you have to. But 1 for 1 just really helps it out. And
also more targets for green. Also become more targets for green.
Well, no, red.
Red?
Yeah, green summons. Red is the one summons from the graveyard. Green summons from hand. Yes. So 1 for 1, and also you can even ditch blue and recycle them. So that's always a good thing you can do. Or if you ditch them and you summon red from all that, you can probably add the Super Quantum card back into your hand. This is why I don't like discarding my hand so much in this deck. Next, 2 Terraforming to search the field spell card. I search it a lot with blue, but most of the time I prefer to search either Alphon or the green layer. So this helps searching with blue, so I don't have to waste blue's search effect. A lot of players like to search blue's search effect to search for the field spell and pass their turn, or try and make a quick XD summon that way. I feel it wastes too many materials and resources doing that.
Question, how come no chicken game? So I've seen some players run chicken game to stall out so they can make the Magnus.
I feel that the way the deck is built, you should not be paying so much life points, and you shouldn't be stalling in the deck. You could control the field really well in the deck. The reason most players play chicken game is they'll get to the field spell, get to them, and make each of these Exceed monsters, one of these 3, with only 1 materials each, which means that they shouldn't be wasting their individual effects. And also, I don't want my opponent drawing cards either. And especially if I'm under life points than my opponent, I can't do any damage. So I'm not going to pay more life points just to either have it blown up. That's why I really don't like chicken game in the deck. I can see why people use it, but here's a card I use. Here's 2 cards I use over chicken game: Reasoning and 1 Day of Peace. Reasoning. There are so many different levels. I have levels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Literally. Chances of you calling them right.
Majority of times, if they see Reasoning, people just think they're playing Cosmos or Inferno.
Most of the time, they either call 4 still for some reason. I don't know why. When I only got Reasoning off twice last night. No, wait, I got it off 3 times, and it was mainly 1. Oddly enough, every time somebody called Reason, I actually will either get red or blue. That's what happened a lot last night. I don't know how that happened, but apparently it happened a lot last night. And 1 Day of Peace is what I use to sometimes stall if I need to. So 1 Day of Peace I think is great because like I could just leave my field blank after searching with blue. Well, I mean blue will still be on the field. But I can leave my field blank and protect my life points for a turn and get myself an extra draw. I don't really care if my opponent gets a draw. Mainly if I'm able to get my resources, I'm going to be able to control the field enough or control the board with them both. So yeah, that's why I use them.
I'm gonna guess 3 because it's fancy.
Next, the last 2 consistency cards, Pod Dichotomy. I got 4 different monsters with 4 different types. I know a lot of people prefer Jar of Avarice, but the reason why I don't pick Jar of Avarice is because 1, it's slower, 2, you shuffle back more cards than you need to, and 3, you only draw 1 card. I don't mind skipping my battle phase that turn, and I have to use it to target 3 monsters of different types, shuffle it back in my deck, and draw 2 cards. I feel that's a better up than any of the negative feedback of not conducting my battle phase that turn. And also if I combo with Soul Charge or 1 Day of Peace, I don't really care. It just helps I don't have to thin out my deck. I don't have to thicken my deck as much. And I get to draw 2 cards, which is always a good thing. And I have so many different types I'm going to search for. And that's why I put Pod Dichotomy in the deck. But you have to remember, this has to be the first card you play during your main phase 1, or else you can't play it. A lot of people forget that you can only play this in the start of your main phase 1. But it really adds to the consistency of the deck, and plus my deck is more control and aggro. So if I'm able to control the field with Magnus or any of the Exceed monsters, I don't mind that either. So yeah, because they all have good effects where I could just control the board without needing to attack that turn, and eventually I'm gonna be able to kill a person if they can't get past them. Now, last couple of spells, 2 Dark Holes, a Twin Twister, and a Mystical Space Typhoon. You have any questions about them?
No, I've been doing that same ratio also. 1 MST, 1 Twin Twister. If I want to discard too much.
Yeah. My deck is, I could discard if I want to, have another 1 in the side and have more Mystical Space on the side.
Question right now, Geki.
Now, I get that question a lot. I don't even have it in the side, but there's a couple of reasons why I don't have it. Most of the time, if I ever need to Dark Hole, I'm probably going to be Dark Holing my own monsters too, just to get their float effects up.
Okay.
Or I need to blank my board. Sometimes I do need to blank my board to get Red's effect. And yeah, that's also the main reason. And Regeki's at 1, Dark Hole's at 2. I've even had one person prohibition me yesterday and thought I was running Regeki. I don't know why. Because he saw both my Dark Holes in that game. This was a Monarch player. He prohibitioned my Regeki instead of my Magna Carrier, which was weird.
Wow.
So, well, mainly because I also had a Magna Carrier already active, so it didn't matter. But, yeah. And Twin Twister, just I rather, it technically is going to be 3 MST technically in the deck, because Twin Twister, you're using 2 cards to destroy 2 spawn traps. So this is technically 3 MSTs. I just like the options to be able to play them both out of my hand.
Well, the good thing too, you get to discard one of your
exactly. I want
some cards and then keep it going.
Yeah, and I'm constantly recycling the deck. Now the last couple of cards are a couple of traps. 1 Super Quanto Mech Sword Magnus Slayer, 1 Storm Mirror Force, 1 Phoenix Chain, and 1 Vanity Emptiness.
All right, what made you decide to play the Vanity Emptiness? Because a lot of people's been seeming to cut the card, side deck the card. Hasn't seen much play as before, but lately popularity has been rising where Vanity Emptiness is a staple, becoming a staple slowly. What was your reason for it?
The reason I put in Vanity's Emptiness, 1, it's an easy side out for me. When I have it, I'm able to at least hold off the board, and my monsters individually enough are able to hold off the board with it on the field. But it's never bit me to a point where it was against me at any time. But yeah, and most of the time, once I get Magnus and Vanities on the field together, which surprisingly happens a lot, it just happened with Michael earlier. I got Magnus and Vanities on him, and there's not really much your opponent could do at that point.
All right, so what's your reasons behind Phoenix Chain? A lot of people's been neglecting Phoenix Chain since we're in a format where targeting is not really something you really want to do.
Well, that's a thing. Phoenix Chain it does target, yes. But sometimes I feel, once again, it's also an easy side out. 2, I could stop things such as the level 2 Light Monarch, because that could be targeted, because March doesn't stop that. And also, what I love best of the Phoenix Chain is stops an attack, which sometimes I need. That's why I end up choosing Phoenix Chain, and plus it was a nice looking Phoenix Chain. I wanted to put in something else, but I went with it last minute, especially for the event yesterday. Storm Mirror Force, I don't mind putting my opponent's cards back into their hand. At least in this build, I don't mind. As long as your board's blank and I'm able to summon a big thing, you're not getting over it. I put back a person's Dark Destroyer yesterday. He was happy about that, but then he realized Dark Destroyer can't get over any of my cards. And this is a great card. People don't like it. I like it. If I equip it to a Super Quantum Exceed monster, it gains 100 attack for its level, times its level. And it has piercing damage. And if I send it to the graveyard, it'll have 3 attacks. And I've used it on attach to any of my individual Exceed monsters, not just Magnus. Although with Magnus and this, it's kind of lethal. And with 3 attacks, that's pretty good. It's unstoppable. So that's my trap lineup. I do side out nearly all these traps except for Super Quantum, because this is also another Super Quant card which I could discard for green, which I actually have done. I'll discard for green to draw, so I don't have to discard like my ships or my monsters, because sometimes I don't always need it. Yeah.
So let's see that extra. Let's see what text you got inside that.
Do you want to see the side first?
Extra deck first. Let's just make the people really hesitant to stop looking at this video. Because they want that side deck. Side deck is always the most important part.
My side deck, I rarely go into it anyway. So here's my extra deck. 2 Super Quantum Mech King Great Magnus.
And he had 2 on the field. 2 on the field. Ridiculously savage.
Now he has a barrage of effects. So his main important effect to me is his 6 material effect. It prevents your opponent, as long as there's 6 materials of different names. Magnus effect only counts materials of different names. They don't even have to be Super Quantum names. They just have to be different names. So that's where Alphon comes in handy with his level manipulation, and that's where Northern comes in handy. They'll not only count as extra material, but they'll count at different names for Magnus. So yeah, it makes it easier. But if you stick with the whole 6 materials of 6 different names, the moment you detach for anything, your opponent's able to do stuff slightly again. That's why I'd rather make my deck really consistent, making a 9 material Magnus of different names. Maybe 8 of them will be different names, 7 of them will be different names, but yeah. I'll read you his effects. His first effect is I get, with 2 or more materials, I get to detach a material during both players' main phase, during either player's main phase, and shuffle back any card on the field. It doesn't target. So it's like an Ignister, but it's a quick effect Ignister.
Nice.
His second effect, with 4 or more materials of different names, he's unaffected by any card effect, except for Super Quant cards. So basically, by Dark Hole, while he's on the field, he can't be destroyed by Dark Hole.
You can make yourself triple attack.
Yeah. That's why he's affected by the trap still. Which...
That's ridiculous.
My opponent... I remember most of my opponents yesterday were trying to get over him. They were summoning Dark Destroyer. Dark Destroyer couldn't do anything. I would just bounce Dark Destroyer back because his effect doesn't target. And Dark Destroyer can't blow him up. Monarchs can't shuffle him back into the deck. And also, with 4 materials, you can't even Stormforth him. You can activate Stormforth, but he's not going to be an eligible target for you to tribute with Stormforth.
What you say was your hardest matchup? Or I wouldn't say hardest, if there was a hard one, but what was the matchup you probably had to play around the most?
The one yesterday was more than likely the Great Kaiju.
Why is that?
Because if you're still able to just tribute him, you're still able to just tribute him straight with a Kaiju. So that's one way to get over it. But when he leaves the field, I get to special summon Mech Beast of different names, 3 of them from the grave. So it's not that much of a drawback, but it was more my difficult matchup. And the Grados couldn't take him as long as I had 4 material. And his last effect, which is my favorite, 6 or more materials of different names. It prevents my opponent from adding cards from their deck to their hand, period.
And that's basically what this format is all about. Pepe matchup must have been very easy.
It was last night. And especially the Cosmo matchup, because they couldn't even mulligan.
Jesus.
Because this effect, unlike Mistake and Thunder King, it's like drawing Lockbird. It counts drawing as add-in from deck to hand as well. So that's always a good plus. That it prevents all draw cards as well, not just search cards.
That's
a lot
major.
of people, yeah. I mean, I can't play my One Day of Peace with this at the same time, but whatever, because my opponent's gonna have to draw.
Major key, guys. DJ Khaled. Major key.
Oh God. Question about the Magnus.
Yes.
Would adding cards or drawing only concern outside the draw phase?
Yes.
All right, just making sure. Thank you.
It just said by card effects, so draw phase is not a card effect though. Red Magna Liger. 2 Magna Ligers, 2 Ouroboros, and 2 Grand Pulse. I hate the name change. It was Grand Pulse, now it's Grand Pulse. I don't know, change
I
one.
like Grandma so much.
Yeah. This one, the red one, they all have the same effect. They can't attack, they have no exceed material. If they have one of their corresponding color, they're able to activate their effect on either player's turn. So it basically turn their ignition effects into quick effects. Their individual effects are great. Magna Liger, a detach material, destroy 1 monster on the field. Ouroboros is a Book of Moon on legs, and Grand Pulse is a Mystical Space Typhoon on legs. Which is why I said earlier, this is for field control. And if you think about all 3 of their effects, 1 to destroy a monster, 1 to set one face down, and 1 to destroy spell and traps. Doesn't that scream field control while still being aggro? And then if you unite them all into Magnus, what can you do?
Nothing.
Yeah. So
Quick
that's
question, not about the deck, but about your prediction. How do you think the newer Quantum card is going to play into all this?
if they come out with a new one, it'll probably be a rank 2. And I predict that the level 2 monster will have a summon effect. When it's summoned, I get to probably draw a card more than likely. And its monster effect will more than likely, I feel that it might allow a monster to attack directly.
Will it have exceed?
That's what I've said, extra deck monster. Yes.
Oh.
I'm just taking guesses at this point. Now the rest of my extra deck was pretty generic. 2 rank 5s, Zen Mayo and Bulkasaurus.
Oh, how did that Zen Maya work out for you? Cause
It was great. I put monsters face down with Ouroboros, and people would think I'll go to Magna Liger. I actually went to him and destroyed 2 set cards.
nice.
And I remember my opponent had 2 of the water, the 2 green Grado monster.
Get ready to see this card price go up too.
And also I felt he was a fitting in because he's also a nice looking machine XP monster.
Windups.
Yeah, I thought he was nice in the deck. And Bulkasaurus, I never went into Bulkasaurus the entire game because I'm like, if I was going to destroy a monster, I'd rather go into Magna Liger. Yes, this will inflict burn damage, but Magna Liger allows me,
It's still attack.
yes, and also I get make Magnus with it.
True.
And also to go over it, I'll go into Gaia Dragon. I never went to Gaia Dragon either, but that was another option because that's just another option. I never went into Gaia Dragon. And my 2 generic rank 4s, Cowboy and 101. I went to 101 a couple of times. I never went to Cowboy.
You just that much of a boss. They didn't need Cowboy to just help you finish.
I did not, to be honest. I did so much board damage, and plus making rank 4s are very vital in the deck because, like I said, green is probably my most vital card. I'd rather go into Ouroboros as straight as possible. So rank 4s, but Alphon kind of helps that. And the last 2 cards, 2 Nordens.
Nah, that's surprising. Usually with a 2 ratio of Nordens and extra deck, people majority of times will play 3 instant fusion. How come even though we're only playing 2 Nordens, you decided to play only 2 instant fusion?
Well, for me, I do go into both Nordens a lot. And I felt with a 2-2 split, because the extra deck was kind of tight, so that's why I went with 2 Nordens, so that kind of explains that. But the deck itself, I had some extra space, but I noticed that if I had 3, I was drawing it and I didn't need it as much, and I wasn't a fan of paying that much life points.
Alright.
And I know you don't have to, but the 2-2 split, I felt I was seeing instant fusion more than I put at 3. I can't explain why putting less number will make you see it more.
Well, everybody has different luck with the deck.
Yeah. That's why I still like a 2-2 split. And to explain why I didn't put things like Panzer Dragon or any other generic Fusion 3 in the deck, is I felt Norden was able to help me with blue and green. And since I have Feast of the Wild level 5 a lot, and all the special summon I do with the deck and Alphon, I didn't need level 5 in the deck, in the extra deck, and thought it was going to take up space. So I felt 2 Nordens was good because it helped me with both of these 2 a lot. So yeah, that's my extra deck. We want to go on to the side?
Alright, going to the side deck.
Okay, I barely went into my side deck all game long because most decks didn't have an answer to once I got out Magnus. Sometimes I did need to my side deck. So yeah, I have 15 cards in my side deck. Well, technically 14. Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon.
That's just a good luck card.
Yeah, it was just in there because I have. You don't need 15 cards in your side deck. I just wanted to put it in there because it was fun, and it was fun to write on my slip that I had Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon in my side
That's
deck.
crazy. Trolled and won undefeated.
And this was a nice card. It looks nice. Come on.
How many rounds you had of Swiss?
I had 6.
6 rounds.
You
Top
need to
cut.
return that twice.
Yeah. I went undefeated in top cut. Got a store credit for the team. So what I went into a lot: Galaxy Cyclone and Twin Twister. I went into those a lot, or Mystical Space type. Spell and Trap Destruction was one of the more vital things. If Grand Pulse wasn't destroying as much Spell and Trap, I'd rather have more to come in. Especially if I know my opponent's gonna have a lot of back row. The Cosmo matchup, very low back row. Pepe, very low back row.
So
The Magic Spectre, on the other hand, had a lot of
It
back row.
didn't conflict
No.
with people flipping anti-spell fragrance, or you always had the MST or Twin Twister to chain.
I would chain 2 of them, or I'll chain Grand Pulse into it. Because my deck doesn't really rely, and plus, my deck doesn't rely on playing spells right away. And with Instant Fusion, like if they would flip over anti-spell fragrance on me, I'll just chain Instant Fusion and make a Grand Pulse from there, more than likely. So that was very helpful. That's why these weren't the main things I sided into. My deck was not prepared for the meta because I felt that due to the field control and with Max on board, I was able to handle the Monarch matchup, so I didn't need things that stops against the Monarch.
So how do you feel that how your deck will perform at regionals?
I feel it'll do well. I'll probably have some work against the Kaiju matchup, but yeah. Breakthrough skill, another Phoenix chain. Those are for monster negation. I felt if I felt Monarchs was a really strong matchup, I would have sided them more. I sided out my Phoenix chain. I never sided this one in.
So
I sided these 2 in over the Storm Mirror Force and the Phoenix chain once, because my opponent was had more spell and back row destruction than I did. So I felt okay. I'll swap out the Phoenix chain for the breakthrough skill, which came in handy. Fairy Wind against Pendulum decks. I rarely have a faceless spell card because my Magnus ship is not staying on the field for long. So I put in Fairy Wind. And also the extra burn damage, especially with the amount of attack damage I'm doing to my opponent.
help push.
Yeah. And other cards I never went into. 1 Bottomless Trap Hole.
Self-explanatory.
1 Threatening Roar.
Self-explanatory.
Yeah, because my monsters are weak. More than likely. Blue is weak, Alphonse weak. If I end up not exceeding that turn, they're alone on the field, my opponent's going to have to waste a spell and trap to get rid of them. Any monster could attack at any given time. I'd rather force my opponent, but I never need it. 1 Torrential, 1 Neo Sealing. I never went into them either, although I should have, because like I said, my monster's slow. And the last one is, and the band plays on. This is definitely against Pendulum decks.
Nice, savage.
I went into this once in my side, I never drew it. Don't you hate
Well,
that?
most likely you use that for mid game when you already had all your monsters set up, so they can't make a comeback
Yeah.
to remove your board.
Yep, and plus with Alphon and this on the field, I don't really care because Alphon, if I can't make monsters with the same level, if I can't special summon them like Norden or something, I'm just going to use Alphon to copy the level. And then I'm making my XC that way. That does not restrict Alphon. That's why I like it so much. So yeah, that's my board from last night. So yeah, I was undefeated last night in the store tournament. It was really fun, especially against I played a lot of Monarch decks. A few Quantum Monarchs. I didn't think those were good though.
The Cuirass, Pop Effect, just a draw 2, not really all that worth it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
It's not really worth it.
So yeah, that's my deck profile.
Where's the Mystic ref panel out there? Jeez.
Yeah, that card. I don't know why it went up in price. I still gotta find one of those because I don't have one of mine around somewhere.
I need one.
All right. Well, until then, see you guys.
Thanks for tuning in. See you again. Team UA.
Oh, now you like the name.